Hi guys, it's Ray here from the Just for Keepers podcast. I hope you are fitting well, and in this quick episode we're going to be talking about the importance of understanding the difference between a goalkeeping coaching session and a goalkeeping training session. Now I get asked this quite a bit, especially from parents, because they don't understand the difference, but you'll be surprised how many goalkeepers actually don't understand the difference between a goalkeeper coaching session and a goalkeeping training session. Now, before I explain about that in a moment, let me just quickly explain again. If you're looking to get 20% off your goalkeeping gloves for life, please simply just go to www.j4ksports.com, and it's with a number 4, a digit 4, j4ksports.com, and if you put in the code J4K20, you will get 20% off your goalkeeping gloves for life by being part of the J4K community. Okay, so going into this episode, how can you tell the difference between a coaching session and a training session? And again, if you're a parent, it's very, very difficult, obviously, to tell the difference. But basically, what a coaching session is more a development session. Is when a goalkeeping coach will put on a certain drill, a certain session, and the goalkeeping coach will then go in and stop the session when they see their goalkeeping students make some type of mistake. You know, whether it's a technical mistake, it's normally a technical mistake, but when they see their goalkeeping student make a mistake, that's when they say, hey, stop, stand still. They'll go in and they'll correct that mistake. And it's super important that that your coach is doing a goalkeeping development session. Now, the difference with a goalkeeping training session is when a goalkeeping coach will put on a drill and then just let their goalkeeping students just go with that drill. They let the session flow, whether it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They let the session go, and the goalkeeping coach might not say a word. They'll just let the session go, or they just might shout out instructions. Hey, keep your hands down. Hey, get your feet together. That's what I would normally do as a goalkeeping coach. Even though I let the session flow, I don't go in and stop the session. I let the session, as I say, I let the session flow, but I'll be shouting instructions to my students. So obviously, I'm just distilling into their psyche, obviously what they should and shouldn't be doing, etc. So that's the main differences, guys. But it's so important what I'm going to say next. But the main difference is with a goalkeeping coaching session, it's more a development session, is where the coach will go in and stop the session. A training session is where they just let the coach will let the session flow. So as you can imagine, any young goalkeeper, and I can vouch for this myself, even as an old goalkeeper, we all prefer training sessions, because a training session, even though a coach is obviously trying to help it, when they say, hey, stop, stand still, as a student, you're like, oh dear me, will you shut up? I just want to dive, or I just want to throw myself around the goals. And obviously most goalkeepers prefer a training session because they're just left to dive all around the goal and have fun, etc. And that's why we play in goal. But it's super important that your goalkeeping coach does both. And ideally, they do both a coaching session and a training session even, let's say it's like a 90-minute session, they do both types of sessions in the same session. Because what happens is, unfortunately, you get a lot of goalkeeping coaches that will just do a goalkeeping coaching or a goalkeeping development session for the full 60 minutes, the full 90 minutes. And first of all, I'll be honest with you, that bores the students to death. When they're trying to do something and a coach steps in and goes, stop, stand still, most students get bored with that. Now, look, I understand and respect why goalkeeping coaches obviously want to do that. And again, and it depends with age as well. If you're coaching adults, they're more obviously susceptible. They're more patient, and they understand that if they're getting coached and developed and the session's getting stopped for 90 minutes, off and on, they accept that. Obviously, young children, you lose them pretty quickly. And some goalkeeping coaches, unfortunately, they can't tell the difference between coaching adults and coaching children. Coaching adults, you'll probably get away with a lot of stop, stand still. Do that with youngsters and you're going to lose them pretty quickly. They're going to be bored pretty quickly. And I know it's difficult trying to find the fine balance, but also you've got to be careful. And I think this is more dangerous, to be honest with you, a goalkeeping coach that does training all the time. Because if they're doing training all the time, as a parent who doesn't know, you could be a parent who can't tell the difference. You could be a young goalkeeper that might not know the difference between a coaching session and a training session. And a training session, because it's like really fun, normally a parent, if a parent is paying for goalkeeping coaching and their child has fun for like 90 minutes, the child will come off and go, that was fantastic, that was amazing. And the parents are thinking, wow, I've just paid I paid good money there, my child's really happy, and my child is going to develop. Not necessarily, guys, okay? Doing training all the time can actually be very dangerous. And I wouldn't say this annoys me, this worries me when I see goalkeeping coaches doing training sessions week in, week out, and they're not doing the goalkeeping coaching, they're not doing the goalkeeping development side of things, because when a goalkeeping coach just allows goalkeeping training, they're actually not going in. They're not going in and they're not stopping the session. They're not obviously telling their students where they're going right and where they're going wrong. So they're not developing their goalkeeping students. Yet their students are having so much fun because they're diving about everywhere. But it can be very dangerous just doing training all the time. Ideally, as a goalkeeper, or especially as a parent of a goalkeeper, you want a goalkeeping coach that is actually doing a mixture of goalkeeping coaching stroke development sessions, and also goalkeeping training sessions within the same 90-minute session, if that makes sense. So when I do my coaching, I do a mixture. I'll set up a drill, and that is specifically designed for goalkeeping coaching, for goalkeeping development, and that's where I will go in. I'll stop the session and I'll put the students right on their techniques, what they should and shouldn't be doing. Then also as well, what I will normally do is I will still be working on that same technique. So for example, if I'm teaching my students how to dive top corner and how to land correctly, the first thing that I'll be doing as well is, I will do that as a coaching development. So I'll be like stop, stand still. I'll be going in and showing them what you should be doing. And then later on in the session, I will then turn that into a goalkeeping training session, where I will allow my goalkeepers to obviously to basically, what a goalkeeping training session is really good for, it sort of emulates match play. So emulate match situations. So as goalkeeping coaches, yeah, it's our job to develop our students, but it's also to get them ready for a game situation, and you do that with a training session. So in any session, I will do the development session first. Let's say again, for example, I'll help my goalkeepers with their diving techniques, how to dive top corner, how to land safely, etc. First of all, I will do that, as a goalkeeping coaching, goalkeeping development development session. Then later on into my session, I'll still be working on teaching my students to dive top corner and to land correctly, but I'll be doing that more as a training session. So I'll let the session flow a lot faster. I'm not going in and stopping the session, because I'm trying to make it as game real as possible, if that makes sense. So hope that answers your question, guys. Also as well, just very carefully as well on this one, this is super important. I'll actually do another video on this. Now, this is not to say a goalkeeping coach is bad by doing this, okay? Yeah, but I see a lot of goalkeeping coaches that they might not have the experience to develop goalkeepers, and they know in their heart of hearts that they've not got the experience to develop goalkeepers. And what they tend to do is they have a lot of apparatus in their training sessions. They'll have like dummies, they'll have hurdles, they'll have rebounders, etc. And when you go to, look at their training session, it looks more like a circus rather than a training session. Now, I'm going to stress, guys, I'm not saying using apparatus is bad. It's not. It's good. I believe every goalkeeping coach should use apparatus at some part some time in their sessions, but you've got to use it sparingly, okay? Yeah, you cannot be, honestly, if you're going to a goalkeeping coach and every single week, it's, as I say, it's set up like a circus, and all you're doing is training drills, and you're just reacting to all these training apparatus that this goalkeeping coach has got. That could be really dangerous, guys, seriously, because obviously you don't get all that apparatus in gameplay situation, and the goalkeeping coach has got to be developing you. They've got to be stopping the sessions. They've got to be obviously telling you where your techniques need to be improved, etc. And I'm going to stress again, guys, okay, I'm not saying a goalkeeping coach is bad because they're using that they're using that apparatus, as long as they're using it sparingly. If it's week in, week out, then I would definitely say, listen guys, you need to be questioning, is that the right goalkeeping coach for yourself? You know, you need to be with a goalkeeping coach that, as I say, within one session, within like a 90-minute session, they're doing the goalkeeping coaching development side of things, where they're stopping and they're coming in and they're helping you improve your technique, and they're doing the goalkeeping training aspect as well, where they let the session flow as well. And you can also use a bit of apparatus if they want to use like a dummy, if they're practicing crosses and they want to put a dummy there, you know, use a dummy for that, or if they're practicing, you know, deflections, you know, have some type of apparatus in front of you. There's one of the guys, I forgot the name of it now. There's a guy, called Pro Deflect or something like that. I should know it, I do apologise. But there's a really fantastic tool out there that you can actually put in front of the goalkeeper and you shoot and it deflects the ball. You know, so yeah, use those apparatus, guys, okay, yeah. So please, I'm not saying don't use these apparatus. Definitely do use these apparatus, but they've got to be used within the context of the technique and the drill that you're using, and you use it sparingly, if that makes sense. Yeah. So for example, if I was doing a training session on how to deal with a deflected ball, I would do, first of all, a training drill, a coaching drill, where I'd go in and obviously I would stop the session, and I would help my students obviously on their techniques, what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, etc. I'd also do a training drill, obviously to make it, you know, more realistic to match situation, and I might also then bring in some apparatus at the end. Makes it a bit of fun, makes it a bit more of a challenge, but I would only use the apparatus if it was part of a certain technique that I was teaching, i.e. teaching deflections, if that makes sense. I would not have my training session set up like a circus, where 1 minute it's the dummy, next minute you're going over to the rebounders, next minute it's over to the speed ladders, next minute. So it's like an assault course, guys, okay, yeah. For me, that's the wrong way to use apparatus. I'm going to say it one more time, guys. I am all for using all these apparatus and these training aids that are out there. I really recommend every goalkeeper and every goalkeeping coach uses them, but as long as it's within the context of the technique that you're trying to teach your students, if that makes sense. Okay, so I hope that helps. So that's how to find the difference between a goalkeeping coaching session, right, which is a development session, and a goalkeeping training session. And it's super important that you find a goalkeeping coach that does a combination of both. Too much goalkeeping coaching development can be bad, as well as too much goalkeeping training can obviously be bad. Well, when I say bad, probably the wrong way to choose. Like, let's just say it's not beneficial, okay, yeah. But let's say you're doing a 90-minute training session and your goalkeeping coach is doing a combination of two, the goalkeeping coaching and development and improving your techniques, then the goalkeeping training sessions where they're then putting those techniques into a game situation, then obviously, you know, you're with the right goalkeeping coach, if that makes sense. So I hope that helps, guys. That's the difference between the both anyway. And don't forget, if you want 20% off your goalkeeping gloves for life, go to j4ksports.com. That's j4ksports.com. Use the code J4K20, and by being part of the J4K community, you will get 20% off your goalkeeping gloves for life. So I hope that helps. All the best. Again, guys, any questions, email in anytime, and we'll do a video exactly like this to help you and the rest of the J4 community with everything goalkeeping. All the very best.